Hello and welcome to the video. Now before I go ahead and ramble on about the topic I want to talk about today, I want everybody here to think about something really quickly. When we think of the word video games or video games in general, what do we think about? Is it the positives? Is it the negatives? Is it the in-betweens? I mean, I'm sure for each and every one of you it's going to be different based on the personal experiences that you have with this term. Whether you were born long ago in the ancient past where you played games like Pac-Man and Tetris, or you were born in the 90s playing games like Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 2 or games like Mario on the Nintendo consoles, or whether you're younger like me where you grew up playing games like Call of Duty and such. I feel like each and every person has a different experience with this topic, and what I wanted to talk about today is the positives and the negatives that these games have on the human brain. I feel like video games nowadays is being lumped into things like movies and music. Movies and music, since anybody can remember, everybody thinks about them in different ways because of the violence and the gore that they can have in them, while music, they can have suggestive themes, things that you hear that you don't necessarily think about, but then you become desensitized to. Well, due to technology and the advances that we have now, video games are definitely in that aspect. I mean, let's just highlight one video game, for example, Call of Duty, right? Everybody basically knows what that is, even if you don't play. It's a very popular shooting game. You run around, you shoot people, you kill people. Many people, including parents, would definitely think that games like this can make you more violent, lead you to do these acts that you're partaking in. And that's actually the first main topic that I want to talk about. Violent video games and how they affect the human brain. One of the studies that I read about that I want to explain in simple terms is this. If you take one person and you take another person, you have them play the exact same game. Have one person partake in the quote-unquote violent activities while you have the other person complete the game doing non-violent tasks, and you ask them how they felt after playing the game. Majority would probably think that the person who played the non-violent game would say that they're calm and they don't have any aggression, while, on the other side of it, the person who played the violent game is going to say that they have higher blood pressure, they're more likely to act out, they're more angry, I guess is the word that you would say here. And shockingly, the studies showed the opposite. The person who played the violent game, or the multiple hundreds of participants who did that, actually showed signs of less aggression. They had more quote-unquote calmness to them, as what they explained to the researchers. And I think that's a very interesting thing to realize, is that violent games don't necessarily lead to violent acts for a majority of the people. However, people with OCD, ADHD, anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, are the groups of people that you definitely want to watch when it comes to playing these games. They're going to be more likely to take the things that they see and put them into their own life, and it usually comes into the aggressive aspect of things. Interestingly though, what I have found is that for a majority of people, game addiction isn't necessarily as strong as you would think. However, for the groups of people that I just discussed about, gaming addiction is very strong within that community. They are the ones who are going to be playing these games for 10, 12 hours a day. Their school grades aren't going to be as good. They are the group of people that parents want to regulate the video games for. Interestingly though, the kids in this group show signs of better cognitive ability and psychological resilience compared to kids who do not have these cognitive brain disorders. One of the researchers that I was studying actually did a topic on this, and it's one of the ones that I want to share with you here, is that the kids who are playing these games with ADHD show higher signs of being able to complete puzzles in these games compared to those who don't. While on the other aspect, the kids who do not have ADHD showed that their psychological resilience was much stronger. However, they showed that they couldn't do these puzzles within the time frame that the kids with ADHD could. But the shocking thing that I also saw is that the kids with ADHD did not want to have social connection with those who were around them. They wanted to just do it on their own. They didn't want to converse, they didn't want to talk to others, they wanted to just stick into their lane and complete it themselves, while at the same time, the kids who didn't have the ADHD effect did want to do it in a group setting. And I think that is something that is very interesting to possibly deep dive more and research into more after hearing this video. Now, the last thing that I want to highlight is what is called RSA. That is respiratory sinus arrhythmia. What that is, it is a coping skill that a lot of people naturally have. However, people who play games, especially violent ones that can lead to aggression, can show lower signs of RSA. There was a research that I read about where they took college students who played games from an hour to 10 plus hours a day, and they wanted to calculate and study the RSA, like how effective RSA was in each and every one, and it showed that those who played higher amounts actually had a lesser RSA ability. And the reason why that is important is because RSA is actually what the brain uses to calm people down, to make them more likely to help somebody in a situation that includes violent things going on around them. With the people who had lesser effects of RSA, they were more likely to be the ones to help because their RSA ability was not activating as strongly, which I think can lead into the word I used earlier of desensitizing. It's a very interesting thing that I think we need to definitely research more. Is desensitizing possibly a good or bad thing? Anyways, thank you for listening to this video of me rambling on about these three main topics. I really truthfully hope that at least explaining and talking about these a little bit more is going to lead you to research more and think about things a little bit differently possibly. But yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching.